What does war look like in the 21st century? Forget trenches, tanks, and the sound of marching boots. Today's battles are fought in cyberspace, in low Earth orbit, and even within the algorithms of autonomous machines. From AI-driven drones to hypersonic missiles, the future of warfare is no longer about who has the biggest army, but who controls the smartest technology. For most of human history, war meant physical confrontation. Soldiers on battlefields, tanks rolling through cities, and fighter jets dominating the skies. But the 21st century has redefined this narrative. Today, wars can begin, and even end, without a single shot fired. The first major signal of this transformation came in the early 2000s, with the use of drones in the Middle East. Unmanned aerial vehicles changed everything. No longer did a pilot have to risk their life over hostile territory. A joystick and a satellite link could strike targets from thousands of miles away. Modern warfare is now dominated by systems that rely more on code than combat. Cyberattacks can paralyze a nation's infrastructure, turn off power grids, or steal classified defense data in seconds. In 2010, the Stuxnet virus targeted Iran's nuclear centrifuges. It wasn't just a hack, it was a digital weapon capable of destroying physical hardware. This was a landmark moment, a cyberweapon causing real-world damage without traditional explosives. Since then, nations have been racing to develop more sophisticated digital arsenals. Countries like the United States, China, Russia, and Israel all have elite cyber warfare units capable of launching and defending against massive digital campaigns. These shifts have also transformed command structures. In traditional warfare, orders trickled down a long chain of command. But with AI-driven decision-making, real-time battlefield updates, and autonomous systems, militaries are becoming faster, leaner, and more adaptable. One of the most controversial developments in modern warfare is the rise of autonomous weapons. These are machines capable of identifying and engaging targets without human intervention. The very idea once sounded like science fiction. Today, it's military policy. Autonomous drones, robotic tanks, sentry guns, and AI-powered surveillance tools are now being integrated into defense systems worldwide. These technologies are not just about speed, they promise precision, reduced human error, and 24/7 operation. An autonomous drone can lock onto a target based on thermal signature, movement, or facial recognition, but it doesn't know whether that target is a combatant or a civilian. Without human judgment in the loop, the margin for catastrophic mistakes increases. Several global organizations, including the United Nations, have raised concerns about these killer robots. Some nations have called for bans or strict regulations on fully autonomous lethal systems. Yet others, including major military powers, continue to test and deploy them aggressively. In 2020, a United Nations report indicated that a Turkish-made drone might have carried out a fully autonomous attack in Libya, with no direct human control. If confirmed, it would be the first recorded instance of a machine choosing to kill on its own. AI isn't just controlling weapons, it's also being used in war planning and logistics. Algorithms can analyze vast datasets, from satellite imagery to intercepted communications, to predict enemy movements, supply chain risks, and even the morale of opposing forces. China, for instance, has invested heavily in military AI as part of its intelligentized warfare strategy. The US is racing to stay ahead with its Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, JAC, while Russia is developing AI-guided missile systems and robotic support units. This new arms race isn't just about bombs and bullets, it's about processing power and machine learning. Whoever develops the smartest, fastest decision-making AI may dominate the future battlefield. Yet the question remains, in a world where machines make life or death decisions, who is truly responsible when something goes wrong? Imagine a war where the front line isn't a battlefield, but a bank server, a power plant, or even your smartphone. That's the reality of cyber warfare. It's silent, fast, and often undetected until the damage is done. AI isn't just controlling weapons, it's also being used in war planning and logistics. Algorithms can analyze vast datasets, from satellite imagery to intercepted communications, to predict enemy movements, supply chain risks, and even the morale of opposing forces. In 2007, Estonia was hit by a massive cyber attack that shut down government websites, banks, and news outlets. Many believe it was a test run, a proof of concept by a major power to demonstrate digital disruption capabilities. Today, every developed nation has a dedicated cyber command, often working in complete secrecy. These elite digital units are tasked with both offense and defense, launching preemptive strikes or defending against foreign intrusions. Cyberweapons can be devastating. They can shut down electricity grids in winter, contaminate water supplies, manipulate stock markets, and even spoof missile defense systems. And they're cheap compared to traditional weapons. For the price of a single fighter jet, a country can fund a full-scale cyber arsenal capable of bringing another nation to its knees. The US Cyber Command, China's Strategic Support Force, and Russia's GRU all play central roles in digital warfare. But non-state actors, like hacktivist groups or ransomware gangs, can also join the fight, sometimes blurring the lines between cybercrime and cyberwar. In 2022, during the Russia-Ukraine conflict, cyberattacks played a crucial role. Ukrainian infrastructure was bombarded digitally even before the first missiles landed. At the same time, hacktivists from around the world joined the digital front, launching denial-of-service attacks and leaking sensitive data. Governments are now preparing for zero-day cyber events, massive, coordinated digital attacks that could simultaneously crash global systems, from air traffic control to financial markets. This invisible battlefield is open 24/7. There are no ceasefires, no treaties, and no borders. And the scariest part? You might never know a war is happening until it's already over. When we think of war, we rarely look up, but in the 21st century, space has become a critical domain for military operations. The race to control the skies has extended beyond Earth's atmosphere into orbit, satellites, and space-based weapon systems. Satellites are the nervous system of modern militaries. They guide missiles, enable secure communications, support GPS navigation, and provide real-time battlefield intelligence. Disrupt these satellites and you cripple an entire military force. That's why nations are building space warfare divisions. The United States created the US Space Force in 2019, dedicated solely to protecting American interests in orbit. China and Russia have similar programs, focused on satellite jamming, blinding laser systems, and anti-satellite ASAT missiles. In 2007, China shocked the world by destroying one of its own satellites using a ground-launched missile. It was a show of power and a warning. The debris created by the impact still orbits Earth, posing a threat to other satellites. Space-based warfare isn't limited to physical attacks. Electromagnetic interference, cyber intrusions, and data spoofing are all part of the new orbital arsenal. The objective? Disrupt communications, surveillance, or early warning systems before a strike even begins. And now, the focus is shifting to low Earth orbit, LEO, where mega constellations of satellites like Starlink are being deployed. These systems offer redundancy and resilience, but they also complicate targeting and tracking during a conflict. Military planners are also looking into space dominance strategies. That includes deploying small, maneuverable satellites capable of tailing or disabling enemy spacecraft. Some even envision space-based kinetic weapons, rods of tungsten dropped from orbit that hit targets with devastating force. While outer space is governed by the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, which bans nuclear weapons in orbit, it doesn't stop the development of conventional or cyber weapons in space. The next major conflict may start with a flash in the sky, disabled satellite, a sudden blackout, an unknown object maneuvering in orbit. Yet the question remains, in a world where machines make life or death decisions, who is truly responsible when something goes wrong? In modern warfare, speed isn't just an advantage, it's a weapon. Enter hypersonic missiles, projectiles that travel at more than 5 times the speed of sound, or over 6,000 kilometers per hour. They can reach targets in minutes, leaving almost no time for detection or interception. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles that follow predictable arcs, hypersonic weapons can maneuver mid-flight. This makes them extremely difficult to track and nearly impossible to shoot down using today's missile defense systems. There are two main types: hypersonic glide vehicles, HGVs, which are launched into space and then glide back to Earth, and hypersonic cruise missiles, which are powered throughout their flight by advanced engines called scramjets. Russia claims to have used hypersonic missiles in Ukraine, deploying its Kinzhal missile to hit high-value targets. China has tested the DFZF glide vehicle, capable of reaching anywhere in the US within minutes. The US is developing its own systems under programs like ARRAW and the hypersonic air-breathing weapon concept. The terrifying reality? No country currently has a guaranteed way to stop a hypersonic attack. Even the most advanced missile shields, like the US THAAD or Israel's Iron Dome, aren't designed to intercept weapons moving at such extreme velocities and unpredictable paths. Hypersonic weapons are also strategic game changers. They can be armed with conventional or nuclear warheads, giving militaries the option of a decapitation strike, hitting command centres before leadership can respond. This shifts the global balance of power. The old doctrine of mutually assured destruction, MAD, was based on reaction time, giving both sides a chance to retaliate. But if one side can strike first and fast enough, the other may not have time to respond at all. That's why nations are pouring billions into hypersonic research, creating a new arms race focused not on quantity but on speed, range, and survivability. In this new era of warfare, whoever controls hypersonic dominance controls the clock and the battlefield. While technology evolves, one thing remains constant. Conflict arises where power, territory, and ideology collide. The 21st century has several geopolitical flashpoints that could spark the next global war. Taiwan is seen by China as a breakaway province, while the US views it as a crucial democratic ally. Any Chinese military move toward Taiwan could trigger a regional and possibly global conflict involving the US, Japan, and other Pacific allies. This resource-rich region is claimed by multiple countries, but China has aggressively built artificial islands and military bases to enforce its claims. The US regularly conducts freedom of navigation operations here, raising tensions. The war in Ukraine has reignited fears of Cold War-era conflict between NATO and Russia. Should Russia expand further, NATO may be forced into direct military engagement. North Korea continues developing nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. Any escalation here could drag in South Korea, Japan, the US, and even China into a catastrophic confrontation. Tensions between Israel and Iran, proxy wars in Syria and Yemen, and the continued rise of non-state militant groups make the region highly unstable. Africa is becoming a competition ground for Chinese, Russian, and Western military bases and resource exploitation. Meanwhile, the melting Arctic has opened new shipping lanes and resource access, prompting military deployments from Russia, Canada, the US, and Norway. Each of these regions could be the spark that lights the fire, especially as alliances harden, defense spending rises, and political rhetoric escalates. In a world where a cyberattack can paralyze a country, a hypersonic missile can reach targets in minutes, and satellites can be disabled silently, these flashpoints are more dangerous than ever before. The question isn't whether conflict will arise, it's where, when, and how quickly it will spread in this hyper-connected, tech-fueled world. The wars of the 21st century won't always look like wars. They may not begin with invasions or declarations, but with warfare today is no longer bound by geography or governed solely by nation-states. Corporations, criminal syndicates, activist hackers, and even rogue AI systems can all influence or ignite conflict. From autonomous drones that choose their own targets, to cyberweapons that bypass borders, to hypersonic missiles that hit before radar even sounds. This is not the future of war, this is the present. The world is entering a phase of constant low-level conflict, what military theorists call grey zone warfare. It's a blend of disinformation, sabotage, cyberattacks, and proxy battles that fall just short of full-scale war. Victory is no longer just about defeating an enemy force, it's about dominating data, controlling the narrative, outpacing innovation. And as AI systems become more advanced, there's a growing fear. What happens when war decisions are no longer made by humans, but by machines optimized only for efficiency and kill ratios? Will ethics survive in a world where machines decide life and death? The great powers of today are racing to prepare for a battlefield that is everywhere and nowhere all at once, where threats are digital, decisions are instantaneous, and peace is more fragile than ever. We are witnessing the dawn of a new era, an age where war isn't declared, it's launched. Are we ready for a world where the next war could begin and end before we even know it's happening?